I have read Bird by Bird probably half a dozen times in my life, sometimes really quickly in one restless gulp, and sometimes really slowly, letting each line linger. But always when I'm feeling unsure about my voice or uncertain about where I'm going next. There's just something about Anne Lamott's words, funny, honest, a little bit reverent, that cuts straight through the noise in my head. She doesn't offer perfection. In fact, there's a whole chapter on basically telling perfection to hit the road. What she offers is permission to be messy, to begin anyway, to write badly until something better stirs underneath. And the truth is that permission has saved me more than once in my life. In my writing, absolutely. But also in the way I journal, in the way I read cards, in the way I create art, just in the way I live my life in general. Somewhere along the lines, I needed somebody to tell me it's okay to make a mess, and this is the book that does that for me. This is actually my second, maybe my third copy of Bird by Bird. The others were well-loved, dog-eared, underlined, pages full of notes in the margins like a conversation with an old friend. But this time, I wanted to do something different. I didn't want to just read the book. I wanted to live in it, to make it mine, in thought and in texture. So I did a little collage spell work, if you will. A little reminder that creativity doesn't begin with clarity, it begins with intention and almost always with a mess. This book has always met me where I was, and now it's my turn to meet it back. Because for me, it isn't just about the writing. It's about showing up messy and tender in all the ways that I create. Tarot, journaling, gaming, living bird by bird in that sacred mess. So today I wanted to share with you a little bit about how I've been working with this book as a creative companion. I'm reading it, of course, diving in probably further than I ever have. But the other thing that I'm doing with this book is living in it. I am letting the words inspire me on the page. I am making my own notes. I am adding stickers. I am gluing into this book. I am making sure that the things that I pull out of it when I flip through this book are the things that really made the biggest impact on me. This is not a copy of the book that I will reread again from cover to cover. This now has become my little creativity companion that I can just open it up, flip to those most important passages. It allows me to reread sections that were important. It allows me to make notes to continue to refine my own ideas about what this book means to me. So while some pages have sticker and writing and highlights, other pages have nothing. And that's not because the information wasn't good. It's just, again, not those key takeaways that I want to be able to open this book up and immediately go to the thing that I need. So there are a few passages in here that have been really foundational for me over the years, and I've tried to really pull those out through this annotated, lived-in copy of Bird by Bird. So on this page, she's talking a little bit about how writing is its own reward, and that is something that I struggle with and struggle to remember every single day. It says publication is not all that it's cracked up to be, but writing is. Writing has so much to give, so much to teach, so many surprises. That thing you had to force yourself to do, the actual act of writing, turns out to be the best part. That is one of the things that I try to remember not only in my writing, but in all of my creative efforts. It's not the thing that I create that's really the point of it. It's the journey to get there. So whether it's a tarot reading, whether it's writing a story or making a video or creating art or really even playing a video game, it's about the journey, not the destination. One of the key lessons in this book for me, which has been really important, not only in my writing, but in all of my creative efforts, is the art of showing up. Showing up, setting the intention, sitting down to do the thing that I really want to do every single day has made such a huge impact in all of my own endeavors. I now sit down every morning and I write first thing in the morning, because if I don't, it's the first thing I will move off my to-do list. It's the first thing that gets kicked to the sideline because it's the one thing that's not actually important, right? But it is to me. And it really sets my whole day up when I take that one thing that is the most important to me, the one thing that I really want to be doing at this moment, and I prioritize that as the first thing that I do in the morning, it means that every single day I get to engage with it. And I do so almost without fail. Sometimes it's 20 minutes, sometimes it's 2 hours. It just depends on what day it is and what else is going on. But one of the things that I've noticed is that by showing up, by prioritizing that as the very first thing I do in the morning, my creativity, my muse now shows up with it, almost faithfully. So in this little paragraph here, she's talking about how her students would ask her, how you do it, how you write. And she says, you sit down. You try to sit down at approximately the same time every day. This is how you train your unconscious to kick in for your creativity. Sure, it was a struggle at first, and I combined that with the whole shitty first draft, which we'll get to here in a moment, but combining that, just showing up, just making the appointment, making it a priority, setting the intention, and then doing the thing. Eventually, my brain got trained to, oh, we're in this space now, this is what we're doing. That process applies to just about anything that you want to make a priority, anything that you want to make a habit, a routine, whatever it is, show up, do the thing. There's this old writer saying that writing is just ass in seat. That's all it is, because that's all you have to do, and you just have to do it consistently. And she also has this little line here that says, you cannot will this to happen. It's a matter of persistence and faith and hard work. So you might as well just go ahead and get started. I love that line. Just go ahead and get started. Why not? What do you have to lose? So let's talk about the shitty first draft, because I think this is the fundamental core principle of this book. It's the one thing that I constantly hear people referring to when they talk about bird by bird. It's like bird by bird and the idea of the shitty first draft are forever ingrained with each other. Because like she says here, all writers start with shitty first drafts. This is how they end up with good second drafts and terrific third drafts. Again, that permission to just do the thing, just show up, ass in seat, write whatever comes, shitty as it may be, because the point is just to do the work, just to get it down, just to do the thing. You can work on making it better, to refining it later on, but for right now, the important thing is just getting it down. And that doesn't matter if you're talking about writing or journaling or art or doing a tarot reading. You just got to do the thing. You just got to get it started. So she wrote here, very few writers really know what they're doing until they've done it. And I wrote, yeah, I absolutely don't have a freaking clue what I'm going to do until I sit down to do it. I had no idea when I sat down to start this video what it was actually going to look like. But you know what? I showed up. I put my ass in the seat. I'm making my shitty first draft, which is all of the messy recording and voiceover and endless B-roll that I will have to take and turn into a more refined second draft, hopefully with the editing pass, and maybe a really terrific third. This process is the same for creating a video as it is for writing a story, as it is for doing a tarot reading. Tarot reading is very much the same way, right? We throw cards down, that's our shitty first draft. Then we go back and we look at, okay, what do those cards actually mean to me? What's coming through in that messaging? And then we journal about it, and that's our third draft. That's where we start to really see understanding develop. That's where we start to really get at the heart of the message. And I love this idea of everything being a shitty first draft, because there's so much freedom in that. And she says here, with terrible first efforts, that's another thing. Shitty first drafts, terrible first efforts. Just show up and do the thing. And this whole process has really been key to unlocking my creativity over the years, not just in writing, but also in tarot, in journaling, in art, in life. Everything I do with a shitty first draft. One of the main messages for me in Bird by Bird is all about embracing the messy. I thought that would be a fun energy to explore with my cards. So I came up with a really simple spread. I'm going to use the Peculiar Pathways Tarot, and I'm going to pull the Spiritual Meaning of Birds Oracle deck as my focus card. So I'm going to start the spread with pulling a single oracle card as the focal point, as the overarching message for inviting the messy. You can also think of it as kind of like this is who the reading is from. This is the bird that's going to maybe carry me into the idea of embracing the messy. And we got the bluebird with happiness, peace, and hope. I think that's pretty fitting for like embracing the messy is going to invite that happiness. Do you remember when you were like a kid and you just like grab some crayons and a coloring book and you just color all over the page, outside the lines, didn't really matter, didn't use the right color? That's kind of the energy that I want to invoke here with this reading. So for me, shitty first drafts are all about the messy. I don't plot, really. I don't plan. I just let things unfold as they need to. And I feel like that's really a metaphor for me. I'm just kind of living in the messy, playing it all by ear and seeing how it goes, seeing how one day folds into the next. And my writing is very much in that same space, as is a lot of my other creative efforts. So we're going to look at where this embracing this mess is going to bring this happiness. And I do have a couple of like specific prompts that I created for this. So the first one is, what does this part of me, this messy part of me, need to hear in terms of happiness with the bluebird? So we have justice. That's actually pretty funny. The whole idea of like bringing things into balance, equilibrium, you know, really balancing those scales between what I need to get done, what I want to do. There is happiness in just embracing the messy and the chaos, but also this is a reminder that I need to balance that with the rest of my life as well. I can't live in the messy all the time as much as I would absolutely love to. And when I say messy, I definitely mean internally messy, because I think I've talked about it before, where like externally, I need my world to be fairly ordered because my brain is so chaotic, my process is so chaotic in a general sense that I need everything else to be really ordered and act as a balance to that. So I think that is really reflected well in this justice card. That is my creative process, that internally messy, externally ordered. So my second prompt is, what energy will help me move through the mess instead of avoiding it? And I don't really avoid messes, creatively speaking. I'm pretty good at embracing them. Yeah, Emperor. I'm pretty good at embracing the mess creatively. I can do the shitty first draft, that the things that I create don't have to be perfect the first time out. So my third and final prompt for this reading is, what's the gift that's hidden in the rough draft? Now, rough draft could be anything from actual writing to a creative project to kind of like this idea of rough drafting my life, where it doesn't have to be perfect the first time out. And let's see, I feel like that card caught, but we're just gonna go ahead and pull the one on top. And we got the Wheel of Fortune. I love that. There's even a book on this card. So that tells me that the gift in this is the cycle of the process. And I feel like every time I come through this wheel with this process, every draft, in a sense, becomes better than the one before it. So there's this little quote in here that says, "Then I wrote terrible, terrible stories." So this is about the author talking about how when they first started, they wrote terribly. Most writers do. We're all terrible writers when we start out. And I wrote a little note here about what I've begun to realize, and I think is really reflected in this Wheel of Fortune card here, is that with each story, each terrible story I wrote, each terrible card reading I did, the process is the same. Each terrible video I made was a little bit better than the one that came before it. And that cyclical nature of continuing to practice, continuing to do the work, continuing to show up. And I feel like it's a really big part of this wheel energy. When we just continue to show up again and again, to be there for our craft, to be there for the things that we're creating, whether that's writing or a tarot reading or an art project, or even just going about the daily things that you need to do. Every time you show up, you're a little bit better than the last time. That wheel turns just a little bit further. And I think that's such a wonderful process. And for me, there is peace and hope and happiness within that process, with knowing that each time it gets a little bit better. So my question for you today is, what's something you've been waiting to start until it's perfect? And what might happen if you just began bird by bird?